Hello again, Robert Centeno here, co-founder to TGT, The Guys Tech, a tech consulting company where we can do anything that you need technology related over in the Bronx, New York. We fix Windows, Apple devices, we do personal shopping assistance, buying advice, we set up surveillance systems, we do networking and security, set up new computers. Pretty much anything you need, we can take care of it for you, home and business. All right. And so again, I do these personal videos because a lot of these personal issues, as I usually mention when I do these types of videos, is even in the business world, it's important to make sure that we are always 100% up here, doing the right things, making the right decisions, and we are in the right mindset. You know, we want to be the best that we can be in every aspect of our life, not only business, right? So I also help people when it comes to marital issues and relationship advice, because I myself went through a very painful divorce, pretty much lost everything I had. I have a 9-year-old little girl. At the time she was 6, and I couldn't see her really for almost a year. It was a really, really painful situation, and all parties made horrible mistakes. You know, I made terrible mistakes, my ex-wife made terrible mistakes, her family made terrible mistakes. You know, we were all, my family wasn't really involved. It was really me, my ex-wife, and her family, and we were all unfortunately, fell, and none of us did what we were supposed to do. And it was the results have been very, very sad for both sides. And I still love my in-laws very much. I just, I still have the hurt and anger toward certain things that they had done, and so on and so forth. And so I don't want people to experience the same things that I did. That level of pain for what had happened, it was terrible. And it's not something that I want people to experience. So going back to, this is the second video that I'm doing. A lot of trouble that I see when it comes to relationships in general, and you can even read about it all, online, obviously, is finances. A lot of couples that I talk to, not everybody, but a lot of couples I talk to, including couples in my own family, people who have been married, when it comes to finances, they keep themselves separate. And so in other words, the wife has her bills and her bank account, and the husband has his bills and his bank account, and they separate themselves. I had one couple that I was talking to that the husband was responsible for paying the cable, TV, and phone bill. Okay, so unfortunately the husband had gotten laid off, and he was working a part-time job, and he could not afford to pay, for the TV, internet, whatever. And so it got shut off. So they had no internet, no TV, and no home phone service. So they were just using their cell phones. The wife had a full-time job as a nurse, and she was actually getting paid, pretty decent money. It was in the mid-60s, and she completely had the capability of actually paying for the internet, the television, the phone, whatever. But she refused to pay it because she said that was the husband's responsibility. Okay, and I've seen that attitude for a whole bunch of other types of bills and situations similar to that, and that is really, now keep in mind, I'm not making these videos to have a debate. Okay, if you watch and you agree, great. If you don't agree, then whatever, that's fine. But this is really not a healthy way to have a relationship, especially when you're married. The mindset of marriage, the whole idea of marriage, is for two people to literally come together as one entity, to work together as a team in every aspect of the relationship, including finances. So if you marry somebody, you need to make sure the person that you're with, you can trust them, that you're comfortable with them in regards to your finances, because if they have really nasty, terrible spending habits, if they don't know how to save, if they don't know how to budget, and they're just doing whatever they have, that is going to put a shit ton of stress on your marriage. When you're married and you come together and you're living in the same apartment, like it or not, you're forced to share a lot of things, right? So both people should really buckle down and have a concept of how, saving money works, especially for your future, making sure you can pay rent if the other person isn't working, because let's say your wife has a baby and she has to leave and she stays out of work, for a really long period of time, she's not getting paid anymore, or maybe the husband, like in this other case, husband loses his job, right? You really have to make sure that you're both making decisions to keep yourselves above water in case something goes wrong. And when it comes to finances, there really shouldn't be a you have your stuff, I got my stuff, okay? It should never be like that, okay? It should always be that you put everything together. So you have a joint bank account where both of you are throwing your money into one big pile together as a team, okay? If you got bills, your wife has bills, they are not my bills, your bills, it's now our bills, and you help each other to pay things off. If you want to take turns, first we'll focus on the wife's debt. Once that starts to get cleared out, then we both focus on the husband's debt until everything is cleared out and we don't owe anybody any more money, okay? Don't be using your credit cards. Don't go thinking that you can just throw everything on your damn credit card. Credit card is not money, okay? It is an illusion to make you think that you have money when you don't have it. And then your bills start to accumulate, you keep making the bill higher and higher and higher, so the monthly payments are getting more and more and more. Having credit, obviously having good credit is important, so if you're going to use credit cards, use them for things that you can afford to pay off at the end of the month. So you want to use it to pay for your gas for your car, or maybe your Metro card, or perhaps groceries. But don't be going to travel to Europe and you don't have the ability to actually pay for the trip, so you're putting everything on your credit card, okay? And I see a whole bunch of couples that tell me, oh, you only live once and life is short. And that whole life is short thing irritates me, because I know people who have been telling me life is short for 30 years now, okay? There are people that I know that were told that they have 6 months to live or 2 years to live. And guess what? 20 years later, they're still alive, okay? The majority of us out there are going to live a very, very long time. We're not going to die. We're going to be around for a while. So the mindset, especially if you are married, is you really need to focus on being able to save money and make smart decisions with your finances, okay? And that means not going out there and maxing out your credit cards or buying dumb shit that you really don't need. It's making smart choices with your finances, because when you start kind of going wild card and you start with this whole, you only live once, and you travel here and you travel there, and you really can't afford to pay off the bills with your own cash at the end of each cycle, that's going to start really putting a lot of pressure on you. And then later on in life, you're going to start realizing that there's a lot of things that you're going to want to do that you are not going to be able to do because your debt is through the roof. Okay, so when you're in a relationship and you're working toward the future, you need to just keep it to a manageable level where at each month when you get the bill, you can pay it off totally. So you're not actually paying interest to anybody, you're not paying extra money, and you don't have that mountain of debt, on your shoulders to take care of, okay? Now, obviously, in some cases, if you want to get a loan for something like, whether it's a business or equipment or a car, sometimes we have to do these things, obviously, and then you pay every month. But you need to make smarter choices with your finances and make sure that you're working together as a team. If you're a guy and you want to go purchase something, discuss it with your wife. Don't just out of the blue show up home with a freaking Nintendo Switch, for $500, and you didn't talk to your wife about it, and now, she's going to be pissed. And the same thing with women. If you want to go shopping, that's fine, but communicate to your husband and let him know, listen, I've been wanting these shoes, I've been wanting this outfit, I want this bag, for Christmas. Can I get it? Talk, communicate, don't go crazy, keep it manageable and work together. You should both know what is in the bank. You should both know exactly the amount of money that's in the bank, exactly what bills are coming in. You should both know every aspect of your finances that's going on, and you keep focus on your future, on your home, or if you're trying to save for a home, or you're trying to save for a vacation, or maybe you want to buy a vacation house, right? And then later when you retire, you're going to retire in that home, right? So all of these things that you want to do in your daily life or in your future have a lot to do with your finances and how you manage your money, which is the reason why a lot of marriages fail or have a shit ton of stress, because people don't manage their money right, because it affects what you are able to do together in the future, getting that house or getting that car, or being able to provide for your children and not be drowning financially. Some people have no choice and they have to get a daycare, and daycare is ridiculously expensive, So there are so many things that are tied to making smart financial choices, and part of that is not only the management, but it's working together to make sure that you're working as a team together and not separating yourselves, to make it individual. When you're married, nothing should be separated. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not just making this up. This is not just an opinion that I formulated on my own. This is based on people, married couples that I see on a regular basis. And every married couple that I know, okay, every single married couple that I know that separates themselves in this way, they are all unhappy. They are not 100%. And the people that are still, they've been married for 20, 30 years, that keep themselves separated, they're doing okay, but it's because they settle a lot of the time, okay? And settling is not happy. That's just when you have the attitude of, I guess this is how things are, I'm okay with it, I'll just deal with it, That is not healthy. That is not a healthy being, emotional way of living in a marriage, okay? You don't want to just settle and just kind of deal with things just because you're comfortable and you have a nice apartment or you have a nice condo and things are okay. Because when you just kind of settle, what starts to happen is that's when people start to get into that realm of looking for other people, or making really terrible mistakes that eventually lead to divorce, affairs and other really sad things, okay? You don't want to be in a marriage where you're just settling. You want to be in a relationship where that person, you can count on them 1,000,000% for everything, every step of the way, including finances. And you are working, again, I keep saying it because it's really important that you understand you're working together as a team, okay? Just like when you go to work and you've got your co-workers, you obviously can't do all the work by yourself. It's split up among, another co-worker, a couple of co-workers, and you all have to work together to manage that work for that particular department. And even though it might be a weak analogy, it's the same kind of idea. You know, you shouldn't be alone in a marriage handling, you know, one thing. You should both be sitting down together and saying, hey, listen, we've got $10,000. We've got this bill coming, this bill coming, this bill coming. So we're going to pay this, pay this, pay this. And then the month after that, we can buy this. After that, we can travel here. You should be doing it all together. There should be no secrets, no secret accounts, no nothing. If you have to keep secrets from your spouse, if you can't trust your spouse with money, there is a serious problem, okay? And instead of separating yourself, you have to figure out what the root of that problem is, and either go to counseling and talk to somebody, talk to your spouse, and figure out what is the reason why you're not comfortable enough to join in that way. You know, did something happen to you? Did you have some bad experiences, or did your spouse do something that made you feel uncomfortable? You know, but you've got to squash the root of the issue, not put band-aids over shit, you know, because things will start to fall apart. Or even if they don't fall apart and you stay married, there's going to be a part of you that's not going to feel 100%, and that is a very dangerous area to be in. Okay, so just please keep that in mind. If you're thinking about getting married and you do have a great relationship, and you know you kind of want to take it to the next level, and you're thinking about what to do, maybe you're already married and you know you're having some issues, especially with money and stuff like that. These are things that you really need to think about, and I highly recommend that you talk to each other about it, that you agree to kind of join forces and throw everything into one pile and start changing how you work together. You know, if you're having issues, talk to a professional about it. You know, you can message me. You know, I don't have a degree. I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, or whatever, but I have been through hell and back, and I have walked through. I almost bled out, and you know, my life was almost 100% completely destroyed. So I'm talking from experience, you know, from experiences that have made me better, things that I have put into practice that have improved my life tremendously, and I've used this advice to save other people's relationships, and it's working. All right, so please keep that in mind. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.